Nakana, good morning. Thank you for talking to me. So in the wake of the killing of Brendin Horner and the subsequent riots that took place in Senekal on the first appearance of, at that point, that one suspect that had been apprehended, there's been this conversation that sort of raises a number of other issues that are not necessarily linked to the crime itself, but lay out the context in which this crime has occurred, and through a prism, I suppose, through which some are interpreting the events in Senekal. What do you make of the events that have happened subsequent to the killing of Brendin Horner?
Good morning, and thank you for having us. Our position has always been that we are not happy with farm attacks because they don't take color or race. All farmers, both black and white, are under siege where they are living and operating. So our call has been consistent that government, let's improve the systems that we have in place to provide security. We've always been saying government, within the police, there are people who are part of the syndicates who are stealing livestock on the farms. Now, when we come to the situation with Horner, our position is the same. We sympathize with the family. We are we are not happy with the killing. Now, once you have a political activism around that kind of thing, we do not support it, whether it comes from the left or from the right. We believe that the matter of honor should not in any way be politicized or be reduced to black and white. That's why last week, myself and Dr. Fiodi Jager, the president of the World Farmer Organization, took a stand in Senekal and said, we are part of the middle majority who, as farmers, without the need of any political support, we mobilize farmers not to get involved in protests that will lead to violence.
Sure.
So, yes.
So you are saying that your concern is politicization of this incident of crime that happened in Senekal, as well as it being reduced to a matter between, black South Africans and white South Africans. But are you surprised that that is happening? You may not be welcoming of the, let's start, for instance, with the issue of race being brought into it. Are you surprised that that is happening?
I am not surprised because it demonstrates the state of our society, both from the black and the white community. My own fellow black South Africans, some still don't understand that I am a farmer as a black person. And if you talk in Afrikaans and say Masoka as a boer, it does not make sense. Even those that were singing Senekal, kill the boer, kill the farmer, in their minds they were not talking to me. They were talking to the racial connotation of what white farmers have been in the past. Now, I am not surprised that even with the white right-wing groupings that were there, they saw me, some of them, as part of just the black people who want to kill the boer and kill the farmer. So there's a lot of education that must still go into it so that communities understand that farming and agriculture is a business that now the transformation of our society has opened up opportunities for black people to move in. And we must also be able to deal then with the politics of mobilization of emotions on a racial basis. That should be a platform that is handled by other people. We must take it out of agriculture and rural development.
Right. So just lastly then, talk to me about some of the grievances that are being expressed on either side of some of these protests that we've seen around Senekal, right? Talk to me about the grievances of farmers about the lack of safety in rural communities and the seeming lack of a plan of how to make rural communities safer for everyone who lives on rural and farming communities, from farmers to farm workers. That's on the one end. But on the other hand, the grievances that have to do with issues of social and economic justice that do rear their ugly head, in terms of when we're dealing with some of these issues, and some people in our society perhaps wanting to use those as a justification for some of the crimes that we do see. Just address both. Are these grievances legitimate? Are they legitimate grievances on both sides of the argument that unfortunately end up being expressed through situations such as what we saw in Senekal?
Yes. Even today, there are still white farmers who still call their employees kefas, that is still call their employees. Some very senior and adult people, boiki. Now, that is a grievance that is there. There are still farmers who pay their employees below the determined limits without permission from government for exemption. So those are genuine and real issues that we are dealing with at the platforms where we engage with white farm organizations and government. Yes, there is a problem of a lack of security, lack of systems that are coordinated by all parties. But what we do not want to see happening is where white farmer organizations alone will form defense groupings that ultimately become what we used to have in the past, where black people cannot walk anywhere because there are these commandos that are patrolling all the rural roads and the quiet roads, and black people get victimized. What we have discussed with the Free State government and what was discussed with the minister and the head of the police is, in the provinces and in the districts throughout the country, let's put together teams that will ensure safety on the farms. The police, the farmers and the farmers' unions must hold hands with the Department of Agriculture and ensure that they put up systems. There's a way of communicating with the police on an urgent basis. There is a way of where we identify activities of crime or people are under threat. There must be systems that can touch base with the police and there's proper reaction. So there are grievances on both sides, but we don't want to see them becoming part of the extreme on both sides, and preferably politicians must do politics, farmers must do farming, so that we don't cloud problems that arise on one sector and then want to claim them as our political platform to mobilize.
All right. Thank you for your insights there, Nakana Masoka from the African Farmers Association of South Africa, AFASA, who was speaking to us from an auction, by the way, where he seems to be at the auction to get some livestock, raising some pretty important issues there. For instance, the issue around the rural safety strategy. There is a national rural safety strategy that was adopted by the South African Police Services last year.